Hi everyone, my name is Abhiram Gujjewar. I'm a product manager at Oracle and I'm part of the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure team's data and AI services portfolio. The service that I manage is called OCI, Data Catalog Service. And in general, I have a lot of experience in data management space in my last 20 years of experience. And today I'm going to talk about data catalog. What are the problem statements that we are trying to help customers with? I'll run through quick slides that are going to introduce you to the problem statement and the value propositions. And then we will also do a live demo so that you can see firsthand how this service looks today. And that way you can understand how you can help use data catalog in your Oracle Cloud in general and beyond, and gain value, gain visibility into the data assets that you have, and help your analysts and data scientists find trusted data quickly so that they can spend more time on analyzing and less time on finding and preparing data. So let's start with, why do organizations need a data catalog? Data catalog essentially helps to solve two problems, right? The one side of the coin is that there are lots of data consumers, and as we grow bigger and as we become more data driven, they are looking for more and more data. But the time that they are spending on finding and preparing data is enormous. It is actually more than what they spend on analyzing. So data volume is increasing, variety is increasing, there are lots of data silos. They don't know exactly the quality of data. They can't gauge if it is right for their usage or not. And they have to ask around a lot to actually understand if the data is fit for their use, which means there's a lot of tribal knowledge. That is causing a lot of wasted time during analytics projects. And on the other hand, there's a lot of data complexity, application complexity, deployment complexity, where there's on-prem systems, hybrid systems, multi-cloud systems, and so on. And add to that government regulations. You have GDPR, you have California Consumer Privacy Act, and so on. That requires a holistic view. That requires ability to understand where data came from, where it is going. That requires ability to find out what sensitive data that you have and is it masked or not. So if you don't have a proper governance discipline, then that becomes really challenging. And these are the two types of problem statements that we're trying to solve with data catalog. Now, what is our vision from data catalog perspective? So data catalog is a metadata management solution, and it provides you an inventory of all enterprise data assets, right? We want to make sure that you have a single view where you can go and find data. And what does it do for you? It provides better insight into data, right? End-to-end view, all different aspects of data from technical, from business and operational perspective, and help users find trusted data quickly, right? That way they can spend less time on finding and preparing and more time on analyzing data. So we have the infrastructure stack, as you can see on the left, and there's a data management stack, and then you have data catalog that is kind of coalescing all of these things. And this is done via multiple aspects of data catalog: ability to find, search, and browse metadata that you have or data that you have, being able to discover things intelligently and not having to rely on humans for everything, ability for the system to be able to curate the data, curate the metadata, I should say, and not do that in, again, manual labor mode, but more in a machine augmented mode, and making all that available in an enterprise class cloud environment such as OCI. So that's the vision. But data catalog actually fits into a bigger platform vision, right? As you can imagine, a typical architecture would involve many different services and capabilities for you to have a full-fledged data and AI services platform. Data catalog actually fits nicely in the metadata management and governance aspect of this platform. In other sessions, you will hear about other services in this particular component diagram that, as you see here. But data catalog is the focus today in this session. And the importance of this picture is that data catalog is pervasive. It actually talks to a variety of systems, whether they are data movement systems, integration systems, database systems, data consumption systems. Data catalog is kind of in the middle of all of those and works bidirectionally with those other systems. Now let's talk about a bit more data catalog from functional perspective. So as we said earlier, data catalog provides or enables self-service data discovery and governance. Right? And it does it in the following 4 pillars. The first pillar is about search and discovery, And the idea here is that in order for you to get a better visibility of information assets in the organization, you need to be able to search and discover and harvest technical metadata from variety of on-prem and cloud systems. They could be database systems, they could be data warehouses, they could be data lakes, they could be ETL tools, they could be business intelligence tools, they could be data science tools, you name it. All kinds of systems that have to do something with data. We want to be able to collect information from technical harvesting from those systems. And once you have that information, we index it so that it is available for search, but not just a semantic search, but in future we'll have also natural language-based search, inferred search, things of that nature. Understanding data also requires profiling data because you want to understand the content, the shape and form of data, the properties of data from business perspective, such as, is it a social security number? Is it a phone number? What are the different values and distributions that you have in this data set? Those are all important aspects of data that help users understand the shape of data and help them understand if this is fit for their use. Lineage and impact analysis helps them understand where the data is coming from, how many hops it is taking, what kind of transformations are happening to the data, how it is reaching its ultimate destination, and who are the users of that data in many cases. So that's lineage and impact analysis. And then relationships are always there. Any information asset in the organization has some kind of relationships or relationship with other types of information assets. For example, two tables may have a joint relationship. A business glossary term may be associated to a data attribute or a column in a table, or there could be users or stakeholders that actually manage the data from ownership perspective. So there are a variety of relationships that an information asset has. And in a managed system, it is important to understand all those relationships, not only for visibility, but for gradual exploration and discovery. So that's, let's say, the technical metadata harvesting and collection process and searching process. But then there is a lot of tribal knowledge. There is a lot of business context that is around technical metadata that needs to be captured as well. And that's the second pillar for metadata curation. And wherein we talk about this aspect of business glossary. Business glossary is a controlled vocabulary, a collection of business concepts that is managed by typically data stewards from Data Governance Council. But the idea is to have everybody on the same page, talking the same language when it comes to business concepts such as customers, such as stores, such as tax credit, or whatever you may have. So, but having a collection of that business, those concepts in a governed manner is important. Beyond that, you have non-controlled vocabulary, things that users know about data assets that are not quite fitting in the business concepts arena, such as tags. They want to classify the data. They want to annotate the data. They want to socially collaborate on making information about the data available to other users in the form of ratings and comments and questions and answers. All of that information needs to be captured and associated to the technical assets so that you can get a holistic view, technical view as well as business view. Now, all this is happening at a really large scale as our customers have tons of different systems, databases, warehouses, and so on, which means that all of this has to be automated as well. Nobody's going to sit there and annotate and tag and classify assets one by one. That is where data intelligence capabilities come into play. We want to make sure the productivity of data catalog as a system, the efficiency of data catalog as a system matches the scale at which our customers are expecting us to have. So there is capabilities that are using AI/ML techniques underneath to do auto tagging, to do auto classification, to do auto discovery of assets you have in the organization and automatically harvesting them. Finding data similarities so that you can understand data redundancy, data duplication, and take care of that. So that is very important just to make the data catalog a more efficient system by itself. But beyond that, just imagine the knowledge base that you have collected as part of technical metadata harvesting, business metadata curation, and all these auto magic, if you will, that is happening behind the scenes. That knowledge base is massive and very important and can be used to inform other data management capabilities. And that is where AI/ML-based recommendations based on the metadata itself come into play. What that means is that now we can add value to other systems in the organization, other systems in the solution architecture to make the lives of those users better. For example, using the information in the data catalog, A data engineer can get recommendations about what are the alternate data sets that might be available for them to use. A data preparation user might get recommendations on next best steps. A data analyst or a business intelligence user could get recommendations on where the data is coming from. What are the different fields that I'm seeing in the report? What do they mean from business perspective? Similarly, if you think about all the other systems that we have, let's say object store or data warehouses in OCI and beyond, there is a lot of value in contributing or supplying the metadata from the knowledge base that we have in the catalog to those systems in the context of those applications and those users. And of course, I always forget about talking about the applications that we have, Oracle applications. There is a tremendous value in there wherein we can collect metadata from those systems and as well as feed that back to those users. And all this is sitting on an enterprise class cloud data management system, OCI. So the data catalog is a native OCI service. What that means is it is managed and hosted in Oracle Cloud. It inherits all the great stuff in terms of scalability and performance and security that OCI provides. By design, all of these systems, all of these services have a REST API and variety of SDKs available so that the capabilities can be integrated easily into other applications and other portals. If users don't want to, or if customers don't want to expose that data catalog interface, they can use REST APIs to embed that capability into their applications. And then, like I mentioned earlier, value-added services, value-added integration is one of the most core components of the overall picture, because being part of the ecosystem allows data catalog to work seamlessly and add value to every possible box that you could imagine in the earlier diagram that we saw when it comes to solution architecture. And that is a very powerful message. So that's why data catalog by itself and data catalog in the context of the overall platform is very powerful. So with that, let's look at some of the things that we have done in the data catalog world. It was launched very recently in February 2020. It is now available in 15 regions, and they are commercial regions for OCI. And we are working on making it available in government regions as well. And what's best is that the current capabilities of data catalog are available to OCI customers at no cost. And what that means is that we believe that the current capabilities that we have in the catalog today are important enablers for our customers to be able to derive value from the Oracle Cloud investments that they have made. And that is why it is available to them at no cost. So that is a quick summary of what data catalog helps you solve and helps you understand what you have in the organization. With that, now let's launch into a live demo that we can see firsthand what are the capabilities of data catalog available today. All right. So let me give you a quick demo of OCI data catalog. As I mentioned earlier, OCI data catalog is a native OCI service, which means that it is hosted on Oracle Cloud. So for that, you have to log into the OCI console. You have to have what is called OCI tenancy. And once you have that, you can log into the OCI console. And you will see a variety of different services that OCI offers. The data catalog lives under what we call as data and AI services category. So here's the data catalog. And you can create different catalogs in the compartment that you have, right? And creating of catalog is very, very straightforward. You kind of just click the button, create catalog, and that's it. It's literally one click. And everything is ready for you to then start using. Of course, when you start and create a catalog for the first time, there won't be much content in there. It's a brand new catalog, but the barrier to entry to getting the value out of data catalog is very, very low, literally a single click. So for the purpose of this demo, I already created a catalog, and now let's look at how we can use it. So this is the homepage of the data catalog. And like I said earlier, it has been populated with a variety of content, just so that I can give you a quick tour of the service. Now, data catalog, as I said earlier, can help a variety of different users. It can help data analysts, data scientists, data engineers, and data architects, data stewards. For this demo, I'm going to first focus on the data consumer side of the story, wherein my challenge is to find data that is useful to me, find data that will help me answer a question that I have been assigned. So for example, let's say I'm going to build some kind of report on customer churn, or maybe I want to build a predictive model on customer churn, right? So for that, I need data of variety of kinds. So I need sales data, customer sentiment data. I want transactional data, and so on. So in general, if you are to solve that problem by yourself, you'll have to ask around and look for data and wait for data. In the catalog, we have now collected all that information, right? So now in the catalog, you can quickly come here and start looking for data. So as you can see here, there is a search box. There are shortcuts to a variety of objects that are available in the catalog, some panels to understand, learn. But then there is a panel called Popular Data Catalog Tags. We talked about this notion of tags earlier. So it seems that a variety of users have come in and actually tagged different assets with a tag called sales. So I click on that tag, and it brings up the results or the data objects that have somehow a tag for sales, and there appears to be many. So what I'm going to do actually here is filter. Now, we are filtering by different data catalog objects. Data entities are like tables or files. So let's first find out what we have in the form of tables. Maybe these are the tables that we have. And maybe I could say, oh, there's Oracle, MySQL, object store, etc. I might say, I only want to look at the assets that are available in Oracle. So now I can focus on those. So let's look at this particular data entity or table called revenue. Now I come in here and I can see the technical information around it. It's a table, when it is last updated, what are the different columns or attributes in here. If I want to drill down into a specific attribute, I could do that, right? And I can understand more and more about this particular table and understand if it's helpful for me to answer my question or not. So that gives me like a technical side of the equation. It gives me information about the tables and columns, from technical perspective, which database it is coming from, etc. Beyond that, I also have the tags, right, that are associated here, and that's the sales tag that you see here. So the idea here is to give you technical information so that you can understand what are the aspects from that perspective, but then also give you these tags that are basically, in some ways classifications. So someone might say it's actually sales related data, which is true, but somebody might have said that, oh, it's actually good for marketing analysis as well. But then somebody came in and said that, oh, it happens to be sensitive, right? And in that case, you could say, you know what, it's sensitive data. I don't want to expose it to everybody, and I want to remove marketing from this, and then it becomes only for two. So the idea here is that you can actually use the tags to classify, and you can add your own, by the way. You can add anything existing that already appears here, right? So the goal is to give you technical information and then allow you to look at the business information from tags perspective. And if you have the privilege to do so, you can actually add or delete tags also. Then what you also do is look at the business context. Like we said revenue, but what does it actually mean? What is the business concept that it represents? So here is the information about that. And you can see in details what does revenue mean here, and what is the implication of that from technical perspective. And this is actually a glossary term that we are showing here, a description from that glossary term. So that gives me now a better view because I understand technical and business aspects. And if I want to understand more about that, I can launch into business glossary, and I can see the details. Okay, Mira is in charge of this particular glossary term. This is the collection of business terms, which is a control vocabulary. I can see name and description and such, its status. I can also see what are the other linked terms. So as you can see here, there are different terms. There are categories and subcategories that we're mentioning here or maintaining here. So you can actually create a hierarchy of business terms and manage them. You can see linked terms, which essentially means that there might be parent-child relationships in between different terms, and I can maintain that. So for example, here is an example of a linked term. You can see that a full name has been related to other terms like middle and family name and given name as a parent-child relationships. So you can maintain those kind of relationships also to actually have a full taxonomy. Going back to total revenue, you can also see linked objects. So you can see that other users have actually linked business concept of total revenue to other objects in the environment. We saw revenue. We can open up maybe revenue detail. And as you can see now, I'm exploring and I'm actually finding things that I didn't know about. And this happens to be a view. So maybe as an analyst, I want to focus more on views because they're more distilled, more maintained. So view is better for me. I can look at the attributes and so on. So that is how it kind of helps you find data quickly and then zoom in on something that is interesting to you. So we started with the tag cloud, but you can simply say, you know what, there is nothing I see interesting here. I want to just look at customer data. And you could type it in there in the search box, and then it's going to basically refresh my search and give me that result from customer perspective. And again, I can do the same things and keep on filtering or not, right? And I can find some things here. So that is how you kind of go about first, looking at and finding data, understanding the business concepts around it, managing them if you need to, and then exploring further and further. But you might wonder, how did all this happen, right? So this is a relatively mature catalog system where a lot of things have been already built and populated. One of the first things that we would do in such cases is actually harvest technical metadata from different systems, right? So that's a more of a technical, semi-technical, administrative role. And for that, we have this notion of data assets that you can manage. So to get the technical metadata in, we create data assets. I have created a variety of data assets here, some for ADW, Kafka, Hive, MySQL, Oracle DB, and so on. And all you have to do is simply create a data asset. And obviously, you'll need information about the data asset. So you could create a data asset, let's say, of type Oracle database. And of course, you need to know host port, database name, etc. And that's what creates a data asset. And then you provide credentials for that. And then you can start the process, what we call as harvesting. So here is an asset that I have already created. And it has all these different technical aspects of it. And then there's a connection that is available that has the username password that then can be used to connect to the system and harvest. And how does that happen? You simply click on harvest, and it starts basically that wizard. And you can select the connection. You can select the entities or actual tables that you want to harvest, or schemas or folders that you want to harvest. So there's plenty of schemas here. I might say I only want to do this one, and that's all I want to do, and that's it. And then you select this, and then you create a job. Harvesting is an asynchronous process. There could be a lot of processing that is happening. So it is a background process that gets kicked off, and you can start running the job. And then the process basically finishes and gives you a summary of what all the jobs that were succeeded and such. And you can see the summary of how many things were harvested, if there are any failures and such, and you can see a summary here. So that's how kind of a technical person would go and actually set up a connection to a data asset and harvest. And like I said here, I did the example of Oracle data asset here, but you can see there are other assets here of different kinds. So maybe I can show you an example of data lake as well. So obviously data lake is a file system. In that case, the kind of things that you will see are going to be more of this kind. So as you can see, I saw the summary of, and then I can look at the entities that are available of different kinds, and even I can do even search and exploration here, right? So the idea is to be able to actually harvest, bring the metadata in, and then once the metadata is in, then you can start working on that and doing things in terms of annotating and linking terms and such. This, in a way, you can basically go from collecting and searching and annotating and finding things. You also have ability to actually do a browse experience wherein you can, instead of looking at search and exploration, you can actually look at a hierarchy and then kind of drill into things, object store, then buckets within there, and then within those buckets, you can see tables, columns, etc. So that was a very quick overview. And of course, there is many other things in the service that you can actually explore yourself. But that was a very quick overview of how users can actually come in and find things, consumers, and how catalog administrators can come in and set up different systems to be harvested in the data catalog environment. So that was a quick overview. And now let's switch back to the slides and conclude the session. All right, so folks, you just saw how catalog can help you collect technical metadata, find things, annotate things, and such. Now let me connect some dots for you on how it actually works and integrates from vision perspective with our analytics solutions. Imagine that a OAC user is coming and looking for data while they're trying to build a report or a dashboard. Catalog search can augment their search experience. They can not only find things in the catalog that they have in OAC, but they can now find data from the enterprise catalog that is spread across, right? Has more visibility. If the subject matter experts are coming from OAC, they can actually work with the catalog and even support the curation activities that are happening so that the catalogs become better. The recommendation systems that we're building for catalog can now support use cases in OAC in the form of data preparation, in the form of search, in the form of recommendations. So that also can power the OAC experience. If the OS user is actually trying to see, okay, what does this field on my report mean? They can look at the lineage, they can understand the business glossary explanation and get more information about a particular element on the report. So there is a lot of potential that we're exploring and imagining and trying to work on and building as we speak in terms of how data catalog is going to integrate and make the experience in Analytics Cloud even better. And that is actually really the crux of the value add integration with other OCI services really is. So we are looking forward to working with you and with you customers on exploring this further. And as we go forward, we'll keep you posted on all of these different plans and features as they become available. But I hope that together, data catalog and analytics can help you derive even more value from your data in the enterprise and even faster. All right, so that was a quick tour of OCI Data Catalog. Hopefully that session was useful. As you heard, finding trusted data is a big challenge, and exploiting the value of data without sacrificing governance adds to complexity. Hopefully, OCI Data Catalog can be used in your environment in Oracle Cloud to help you, your users, find data quickly in a secure, in a self-service and governed manner, and you can derive the value of data in your data estate much better than before. Thank you. Hi everyone, this is Abhiram here, and hopefully you enjoyed the session. I see a bunch of questions already, and I have tried to answer, but let me maybe answer a few of them live. What is the relationship between catalog and OAC? I think this was probably asked just before in the session we talked about the integration aspect, but the goal is for catalog to supplement the analytics capabilities that we have, whether it's in the form of extended search, or showing them data lineage for the various reports that they have, or showing them business glossary terms associated with, let's say, the report fields and such. So there is a lot of potential in integrating these two, and that's what we're planning to do in future. I'm not sure there's a question about, is this a replacement for subject area? Maybe it was in the context of, or maybe if whoever asked the question can ask the question a bit more specifically, I can answer that. I'll take another question. What does harvesting mean in terms of this context? Harvesting essentially is the idea of reaching out to the system that you have configured as a data asset and collecting the metadata and bringing it back to the catalog repository. So essentially whether it's an object store or a database or whatever, we'll connect to that system with the credentials that you provide, and we'll bring in the metadata and then index it and organize it and classify it and all that good stuff for you to be able to quickly search. Yes, I think pretty much everything else I have answered. There is a question about OAC customers utilizing catalog without additional cost. So like we said in the presentation, the current capabilities are available without any cost, right, to customers. The integration of OAC with catalog is still work in progress, right? So that is not available. But if you are able to build, let's say, some kind of plugin using the REST APIs or SDKs that can reach out from OAC into the catalog, you can do that, or you can build your own, some kind of portal wherein you can expose some of these capabilities that you are interested in. So just know that the integration is going to be available as a out-of-the-box feature in future. But if you wanted to do some integration, you can try it using SDKs and APIs that we have available. That is all. I think I answered. Yeah, there is also a question about what about the other source. I think a lot of you asked about the same thing about third-party sources and third-party applications. So I think in general, the answer is that We have plans to include harvesting capability for Oracle systems, non-Oracle systems, cloud systems, and non-cloud systems or on-prem systems. And as we go forward, we'll have more and more of those available. Currently, as you saw in the demo, it is limited to OCI sources, if you will, but the rest of them are coming. And there's also a question about is accessible by other BI tools or apps. Again, I think the answer would be that it is, for some tools it will be by default available. For example, OAC, or we'll have some kind of integrations. But for others, you can use the REST APIs and SDKs to integrate yourself. Then, what level of metadata is being tracked? It depends on the type of the source. But as you can see in databases, we are tracking schemas and tables and columns and various properties of those different objects. In case of objects, we're tracking buckets and files and file fields in the files, etc. So that's kind of the level. It depends. And then once we start integrating with other tools, BI tools or ETL tools, we will have different level of things. Okay, and is the metadata open for third-party catalogs? I think again the question would be like you can use the REST APIs for doing that if you wanted to integrate with something else. Okay, I think that pretty much covers all of the questions that I see. Let me check on again. Yeah, is data catalog available on-prem as well? No, it is not. Data catalog is a native OCI service. It is not. It cannot be deployed on-premise as a product or a service, but it can work with on-prem systems. So even in future, it will be able to harvest metadata from, let's say, Oracle database on-prem. So that's kind of the plan, but it's not deployable on on-prem or other clouds. Okay, I think that pretty much covers all the questions that I had. So thanks for asking all these interesting questions. I hope the session was useful. And don't forget to go ahead and attend the next session. And if you have any other questions or comments, feel free to reach out to me or the other organizers in the event, and we can help you out as you need. All right. Thank you very much. Have a great day.